Good morning. So happy to have you guys here. This is Promote, Profit, Publish, and I'm your host, Juliet Clark, just like you heard in the intro. Today, we have I always say this, we have an interesting guest. I know interesting people. No, in general. Today, we're going to have a conversation with DeVore Richter, and she is a sales and marketing expert. Jen Richter is a former marketing executive for NASA at the Kennedy Space Center, turned keynote speaker and marketing strategist. So you don't realize, you guys, this is the second rocket scientist or rocket related person we've had. She works with sales and marketing teams to improve marketing results, increase productivity through systems and automation, and launch campaigns that convert. She's also the CEO and founder of Boss Women Rock. That's how I sort of met her, was through the Dames, which has a bunch of really boss women in their group. And that's an organization which helps women in business make their first 100K in a 52-week program. And Jen's going to give you guys some stats that are really kind of hard to believe with women in business and hitting that first 100K. She's the editor-in-chief of Boss Women Rock magazine and the host of the iTunes podcast, which features entrepreneurial celebrity guests like Laurel Langmeyer from The Secret. She's a media contributor, frequently appearing on TV, radio, including PBS, Huffington Post, NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox. Jen's fourth book, geared toward female entrepreneurs, is Boss Women Rock: How to Go from the Best Kept Secret to Sought After Expert. Her fifth book is geared towards CMOs and CEOs, which she's actually what people call a fractional CMO, which is becoming very, very popular out there. Her fifth book is Go for Launch, 57 out of this world sales and marketing tips for business. For hobbies, because she doesn't do enough in her business, she loves to cook Thai food, do pure bar challenges. What is wrong with you?
I love it.
Hike with her husband, Will, and paint along to Bob Ross videos on YouTube. Welcome.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Julia.
Doesn't the Pure Bar make your feet hurt?
It makes your whole entire body hurt, but that's what's so good about it.
Okay.
It's tough.
All right.
It's the best exercise program.
So the one time I did it was like a jumping sort of bar thing, and I barely could walk the next day. Not because my legs hurt, but because my feet.
Really?
I never knew how many muscles you have in your feet, and I'm a runner, so I should know.
Yeah, Pure Bar is based in bar classes in general are based on ballet. So if you think about it, ballet dancers are always on their toes. They're always on point. They're always on their feet. And so the foundation of Pure Bar, at least, is that we spend a lot of time up on our toes doing our exercise. Yeah.
Which I'm a Taekwondo black belt, so which explains why black belt is more for me than ballet. Obviously, my feet can't handle it.
It's tough. Yeah, it's a good exercise.
Tell us a little bit about your journey. NASA, I didn't even know NASA had marketing.
NASA, Kennedy Space Center is one of the world's top five, or one of Florida's top five most visited attractions, only after Disney World, Universal Studios, SeaWorld, the theme parks like that in Orlando, if you think about it. And Kennedy Space Center is located to the right, if you're looking at Florida, to the right on the Space Coast, on the beach there. And it is a very, very, very popular tourist attraction that gets millions of visitors from around the world every year. And so my job was to handle all of the paid media. So we ran national TV commercials. We invested millions of dollars in marketing campaigns to steal people away from the mouse. My job was to steal people away from the mouse for a day trip from their Orlando vacation. And then also we had they still do have a huge international visitor population. So we were working a lot with, with tour companies and doing advertisements in magazines overseas. And so it's a huge company. It is a business. Kennedy Space Center is a business.
Wow. So how did you get from there to Boss Women Rock?
Oh, it's a long journey. So when I was at Kennedy Space Center, I really loved it. It was the best job, really. It was so exciting. This is back when we were actually launching space shuttles. So it was active. We were very active. And I was going to space shuttle launches all the time. We were launching like 25 space shuttles a year. Space shuttle launches, celebrities, astronauts. Buzz Aldrin used to call me. I would handle his personal appearances and his book signings on base and stuff. And Buzz Aldrin would call me. We were on a first name basis. He'd be like, "Hey, Jen, it's Buzz." I'm like, "Hey, Buzz, what's up?" Like, it was just so cool, right? The best, most awesome job. But I basically hit a glass ceiling really quickly and early on in my professional career because I had that job before I was even 30 years old. And here I am working at managing one of the world's leading global brands. Everybody knows what NASA is, right? And so here I am managing a leading global brand, managing multi-millions of dollars in advertising budget, lobbying Congress in Washington, D.C. to get their support, the continued support of the United States space program. And I hit a glass ceiling because I had all this success at a really, really young age. Mm-hmm. But to tell you the truth, the pay was terrible.
Yeah,
because it's the government. It's government. It's not, there's not this, I worked for everybody that works for the government works for a contractor, but there's a pay scale that you hit and no matter what you do, it's not like there's this unending supply of revenue. So I got bit by the entrepreneurial bug because I realized, I said, man, I have all this talent, gifts, knowledge, experience, all these things, but I'm hitting a ceiling really fast in terms of how much money I could make. Not that money is everything in the world, but at that time it meant a lot to me because I was trying to establish myself and establish my career. So I didn't know exactly how to run a business or what it even meant to have, to take something from nothing and launch it into a business that could support yourself. But I set out on a journey to figure it out, and so over time, over a period of many years, I figured out how to apply what I knew with my master's in business and my career at Kennedy Space Center into entrepreneurship. I've had 4 different companies. This is my 4th one now over the last, 15 years. Some of them very successful and some of them not successful, to tell you the truth. And I've learned a lot of lessons, made a lot of mistakes, and I've done a lot of things really well at the same time. But it's been a journey of just figuring out how to be an entrepreneur and how to make money for yourself, so that you can have a great life and save for retirement, have health insurance, go on vacation, all the things that you get when you work for someone else. And it's just been a journey. I have so many stories to tell you.
That is really interesting. I don't think a lot of people realize that when you quit your job, you're really excited about it. And you don't understand how much there's going to be to do. So I always liken it to day one. You show up at your desk, at home, you're really excited. And by month 4, you're harried and hopeless. The dog is looking at you going, dude, please shower. And you just you don't get that it's not as easy as going into the job, your work all day.
It's not. Yeah, it's definitely not. When you go to work for someone else, they've already done the hard work of creating product, creating services, knowing how to, what to sell to your clients, like how to sell it. They've already got the kinks worked out. A lot of times, I know no company is perfect and there's still a lot of things to learn in any company, but they've already done that hard work of just figuring out what is it that we sell? Yeah. How do we sell it? How are we going to develop this product? How are we going to develop these services? Why do people want it? How much do we price it at? There are so many decisions that go into it. And when you're the business owner and you go from, having this structure to nothing, like you're saying, you have to figure all of those things out. And, like I said, I've made a million mistakes. One of the big mistakes I made when I first became a business owner was not pricing myself well. I undervalued what I was doing, what my value was. And I was working like a dog, for not that much money. And, so that was a huge mistake. Other mistakes I've made, I had a photography studio at one time because when I decided to leave corporate America and, give up the security of that, I did what everyone does when they have a midlife crisis in their 20s. I did, and they want to start a business. I turned my hobby into a business, and my hobby was photography. And, this is the tale as old as time. And so I became a photographer, and started taking classes and getting, I had a mentor in photography and joined the professional association and was kind of doing all of the right things. But the one thing that I was doing that was not great was not pricing myself for profitability. I was like, oh, someone wants to pay me to shoot their wedding. I'll do it for $500 or, some ridiculous price.
Really?
Yeah. So when I first started, not when I ended, and then I was just like working a lot of hours, burning out, and not getting paid that much. And I know that this is a big problem that almost every business owner faces, women in particular.
Mm-hmm.
There's this saying that I've heard a million times, especially with female entrepreneurs: we love what we're doing so much, we'd be willing to do it for free. And so I was just happy. I was just happy to not have a boss anymore and just have clients. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And not really thinking strategically about how I was pricing myself and what services were going to be included. I was like giving away the farm and, I just made so many mistakes, so many with that business in particular.
But yeah, that's very common though, because I would say probably half of my female clients that come in, that is, they tell me what they do and how much they charge. And I'm like, oh, that's no.
It's never going to work. Yeah, it's just not going to work. You have to run the numbers. And so I started quickly figuring out, I kind of had to separate. I had to go back to what I knew about business and how real businesses are run, and really instead of falling in love emotionally with my business and feeling about, oh, I'm just going to be creative and live my purpose and help people have a wonderful wedding and, do all like the soft side of it, which is where females tend to gravitate towards. I had to get tougher and harness some more different energy about, okay, you can do both things. You can be creative and have a business that's fun and impactful and purpose driven, but you can also make money at the same time. And so I had to just go back to basics of what do I know about business that is true, and how do I price myself for profit, and how do I build a profitable business. So fast forward, that was one of my first businesses that I owned, a studio. Fast forward 7 years, and I ended up being a very successful photographer, ranked number 2 in our entire city, and ended up teaching other photographers business and marketing classes on how to grow a photography studio and how to market themselves. But for a minute there, it was dangerous. It was, it was like, what am I thinking? What am I doing? You can't be so in love with your business that you're willing to do it for free. You just can't. So it's been a journey. And, now I have Boss Women Rock, which is I'm an entrepreneur, so I have a lot of different ways that I make money. And like you mentioned, Boss Women Rock was sort of the thing that connected us. But I've created Boss Women Rock to solve the problem that I had personally experienced when I first started a business, which is helping female entrepreneurs make that first 100K. The statistics show, and the research shows, that 88% of female entrepreneurs never make that first 100K. That is just shocking and unbelievable to me.
It is. It is. And it's very difficult out there to get it done. So what are the biggest mistakes that some of these women who are not getting there making that you see?
Number one, not pricing themselves for profit and not knowing their numbers. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. Do you watch Shark Tank?
No.
Oh, okay.
I used to.
I'm a big fan of Shark Tank. But Kevin O'Leary, he's Mr. Wonderful. He's the guy that always wears the black suit on Shark Tank. And he says, I went to a VIP workshop with him in Denver last summer. And he told the group, he said, there are 3 numbers that any business needs to know before you start marketing. Number 1, you need to know your market size. And that's kind of goes back to just understanding what problem you solve, who you solve it for, and how many of these people are there out there that would be willing to pay for you to solve their problems. That's number 1. That's kind of basics. Number 2 is your break-even point. And number 3 is your profit potential. And so the number 1 mistake that I see most business owners, not just females, but most business owners in general making, is that they just don't even know what their numbers are. They've never sat to think about, what is my break-even point and what is my profit potential, and then create a marketing plan that will help them hit those numbers. Okay. So, which leads to the second mistake that they're making, which is that, first, they don't know their numbers. Number 2, they don't have a marketing strategy. So I come from corporate marketing, where there's millions of dollars involved.
Yeah, so do
Lots
I.
of accountability. I had to go sit in the NASA boardroom and explain to them where every dime of their budget was going to go. Okay.
Yes.
So I come from that background, so I get it, but most business owners don't do that. They don't think about marketing strategically. They don't look at themselves as the CEO of their company with someone to answer to.
Mm-hmm.
And they just spend money or do things in marketing without actually thinking about how is this going to help me hit my financial goals, right? And they'll spend money on, if they're spending money, they spend a lot of money on marketing that does not produce results.
Yes.
It's not measurable. And then, which leads me to the third big problem that they do, the other third mistake, is that they don't spend enough money on marketing.
Mm-hmm.
He or she who spends the most to win a new customer wins. And most business owners are trying to do things the cheap way, especially now because we have social media and the internet.
Mm-hmm.
They think marketing is free. Oh, all I have to do is do a Facebook Live video, or I just have to post enough on social media, without any thought to, is this where my market hangs out?
Right?
Right? Is this the right media for me to be on? Am I probably in violation of Facebook terms of services by using my profile to promote my business too much? Because it's cheap and it's free and it's easy and it's accessible.
But that's a really great point. I see that as one of the biggest mistakes out there. People are using the platform that they're comfortable on,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily the one where their clients are at. And
Yes.
I see that a lot. Or they haven't delved into what is the way. I have this one size fits all piece of content that I did on Facebook, and now I'm going to distribute it on LinkedIn and put it over on YouTube, but not understanding that Facebook Live that you just did for an hour isn't really a good tidbit for LinkedIn. I need to edit it down to, something less than 10 minutes. So there's the strategy and the end game there are so important. What are you leading people to, and how are you going to do it specifically on there?
Yeah, marketing it's not that complicated, but I think that technology and social media makes it complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It's market message media. So who is the market specifically? Like, who are these people? What is the message that you need to put in your marketing that doesn't talk about you the entire time, but speaks to the problem that your clients have, the problem that your customers, clients, or patients have that keeps them up at night, okay? Or gives them the outcome, transformation, or pleasure that they want that they don't have. And all of your marketing needs to speak to that, all right? Not what I call self-serving platitudes, which is, we've been in business since 1956. We're family-owned business. We have the best customer service. Nobody cares about that. They're not,
Right.
Nobody is laying in bed at night going, you know what I want to do? I want to hire a doctor that's been in business since 1956 and is family-owned. They do not think like that, all right? They just don't.
Uh-huh.
And then, so what is the market? What is the problem that they have? Craft all your messaging geared towards that, and then pick the media last.
Right.
Most people are picking media first without any consideration of, is this the right media? It's just free. What is the message, and is my market even on there? And so that's kind of the mistakes that I see. And it's almost like I don't blame everyone. It's not like I'm not like going, oh, it's their fault that their marketing is all messed up. We're being fed these marketing gurus drive me crazy with this BS that they hand out about, you know what you need? You need to be on Instagram. They're just trying to sell you a course, right? You know what you need? You need to know how to do Instagram stories. You know what you need? You need to learn, you need to become a LinkedIn master. You need to become a podcaster. You need to write a book. Like do I don't know. Does my market listen to podcasts?
Is your market ready for that? Because as a publishing company, when we created Quiz to Qualify, it was because that big problem of the going to those events that you and I have talked about this. And the first thing when someone says my products aren't selling, the guru in the room says, oh, you need a book. Well, if your products aren't selling, it's either not the right product in front of the right audience, or you don't have an audience, or you're not getting feedback in some way. So putting out a book is not going to help you because nobody still knows who you are to go buy the book.
I mean,
So
also it's like, what problem is it that you solve? What is your
yeah.
business, right? Not what is your marketing. What is your business?
Yeah, but
That I see a lot of that too. A lot of entrepreneurs online think that being on social media is the business.
right.
I'm
Yes.
like, that is so dangerous. That is so
Well,
dangerous.
it's not only that. I think a lot of them, because the coaching industry is like this.
Yeah.
If I go to an event, all of a sudden I'm being told I need a product coach, I need a speaking coach, I need a book coach, I need a publishing coach, I need a
Right.
sales coach, I need like every kind of coach
Every coach.
you can imagine. And I look at that, and underneath I say, what is your sustainable business? Like, it's
Right.
great if you want to go learn how to speak, to promote. What is the core of your business, and is it successful enough already that you can get yourself on those stages? Because a lot of times we create a product, I'm just saying, not me,
Hmm.
but other
Hmm.
people create a product in my head. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. They ask their mom, who thinks you're the best thing since sliced bread, and it's going to go, oh yeah, honey, that's fantastic, without actually talking to the people who would purchase and pull the trigger. And then, then they're going out and adding skills on top of that to sell something that they don't even know is a good, sustainable product. So that drives me
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah, that's what Kevin O'Leary would say. He said, what is the market? That's
Yeah.
the first question. How many of these people are there? Are there other people that are there other businesses that have a similar product that solve a similar problem?
Mhm.
Because if there isn't, there is no market. If there is no market, you're not going to have a business. And, which leads me to the 452nd mistake that I see business owners making about creating businesses that they're like, well, my business is different. This is brand new. No one's ever seen that. I'm like, that's kind of dangerous. You don't want that.
Yeah.
You want to be solving a problem that people are already paying to solve. Now you can put your own unique twist on it, and, your own new, unique delivery method, or, new vehicle of change, or whatever the new thing is that you do for it. But really, business comes down to solving problems that other people have and getting them to pay you for it.
Right.
I mean, that's it. It's really not that complicated. Don't listen to the marketing gurus with their courses that they're trying to sell you and all this garbage. It drives me.
Yeah. And Jen, you and I have been in the advertising world for
Mhm.
years. We know that most of those gurus popped up in the last couple years. They
Yeah.
read a Facebook group, they tried some advertising, they thought they were good at it, or the Google, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden they were
Now
funnel
I'm a coach.
experts and
Yeah.
coaches. And it kind of drives me crazy, because they don't, for the most part, a lot of them don't know basic marketing. If you took them back to old school marketing, they wouldn't have a clue.
No, which is good for me.
I know, which is good for
Job
me.
security.
Good for me as well.
Yeah.
That was part of what got us into what we were doing, was that good old fashioned, you didn't do your research bit, which you just talked about a
Mhm.
little bit. We are developing new software, and I sat down with Bill Kelly from WebMD and learning.com. The first thing he said is, who are the other players in your market?
Right.
How are you different?
Mhm.
And how many people, how big is your potential market? And what do you need to hit those numbers you just gave me? I mean, they were all, he didn't want to know much about the software until I actually could articulate those numbers. And then he was like, okay, this is a good start.
So this is another reason why I like Shark Tank, because it shows you what investors are looking for. And if newsflash, if you haven't heard this yet, as the business owner, you are an investor in your business.
Yes.
Okay, you're investing time, you're investing opportunity cost, because you could either go have a job working for someone else making a whole lot more money, or B, have some other income stream, or however you want to, whatever you want to do with your financial situation. But Shark Tank, one of the very first things that they do is they ask them the numbers. They don't get involved with being in love with the business and your
Mhm.
emotions about it. It's just numbers. It's okay, well, who's the market? Who's going to buy this? How many people are there? What sales do you have so far? Okay, so what do you need to run this at a base level, the break even point? Okay, well, what is the potential here? And what's the gap?
Mhm.
Okay, so what's the gap between where you are and where you want to be? And if we, as business owners, if we step out, if you're a speaker, you're a coach, or an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter, because you're still a business owner, step back and look at your business from a Shark Tank perspective and say, if I was an investor in this business, would I invest in it? Do I know my numbers? Do I know my market? Am I hitting my break even? And does this make financial sense? There's a lot at stake
Mm-hmm.
for, being an entrepreneur, being a person that creates your own income stream. Your family is dependent on this. Your future is dependent on this. This is not a joke. This is no game. This is your life.
Mm-hmm.
This is your retirement. This is your ability to have health insurance. This is all of these things, your ability to support your kids in the future. These things are important and they matter. And I just want, in particular, the female entrepreneurs to get this and to wake up and understand that this is business, and that business is run on financials and numbers and solving problems for people, and then the softer stuff. So it's just a little frustrating for me when I go to female conferences in particular, and everyone is talking about, all the speakers are talking about all the softer, I call it woo-woo stuff. This is not going to be popular, probably. It's not, and it's okay. I'm not for everyone. I know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but the woo-woo stuff, the like softer things, like the, all the stuff that has nothing to do with solving problems, creating products and services, and serving a market. It's like business has turned into this personal development workshop.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And that is dangerous. And that's why I think, my opinion is that female entrepreneurs are not making any money, is because they're looking at business as a personal development outlet and not an actual business.
Yes, I love that. That's why so many of them are bootstrapping their way to bankruptcy. I talk to women all the time and they tell me stories about the kind of credit card debt they are in because they have bought all of this woo-woo stuff. And you do have to stop and ask, if I were presenting this marketing plan to someone who was going to invest in it, would they actually spend the money? Because it's easy to say, oh, I'll invest in myself.
Mm-hmm.
But would somebody else do it? That is really the marker of, and it doesn't mean you have to go out and get that financing. It just means you have to ask those questions. So where can we find you? I know I can see your book behind you. So obviously people can go buy your book, but where can we find you online to reach out and say hello and find out more about your workshops, your courses, your classes?
The best place is in my Facebook group. I do free coaching every Wednesday morning at 8:30 Mountain Time in my Facebook group. And I'm always there to answer questions, provide advice. Now, like I said, this group is not for everyone. We do not touch the soft topics. We do not touch the woo-woo stuff. That's not what I focus on. I focus on no BS marketing strategies that actually work and produce results. I'm a direct response marketer. So if you need low cost, high impact marketing ideas, please join me in my Facebook group. You can get there by just searching for Boss Woman Rock in Facebook and it will take you right to it.
Very good. Thank you so much. I love your straight on, no BS approach.
Thank you, Juliet.